also for the faculty myself, and I don't know if that's a bargainable
It's bargainable, but we have the issue of other public worker unions, and you know, Jan can speak a little bit more to it. I think when we go into bargaining, I mean, it's something that we can certainly bring up, and we've gone through at our last faculty forum, last two faculty forums, trying to generate what are the issues that concern you for our upcoming bargaining, and certainly childcare has come up on that. The question is going to be in actual bargaining the extent to which we'll be able to negotiate anything on that particular issue as we sit, one public worker union among many.
Has it ever gone up as a bargaining in the past?
Yes.
And what has the decision been?
Not to fund it. Not to fund it out of the general funds of the University of Hawaii, because there were not funds appropriated by the legislature for that purpose. That means it would have to have come out of the existing academic programs. However, particularly on the community college campuses, there have been a sort of an up and down wave of child care facilities that were part of their curriculum that faculty participated in, because, again, they were part of the curriculum program.
We have a fairly good one at KCC that faculty participate in.
We try to encourage that, but, again, the underlying situation is we live in an island state. You know, the notion of one canoe. And if the faculty, they can try and argue all they want that they should have child care, but if that does not come with child care for the secretaries and for the APTs and for the other people, the groundskeepers, then in this state it will never come. So therefore, what we have tried to do is work in a coalition with the other public sector unions to say the universities are absolutely good places to place child care that is available to all. The bottom line, though, will always be the state legislature and its willingness to fund these endeavors. Again, there have been times when we have had actually more child care available and other times when it has fallen off. Is it a priority? It's always been a priority for us. It continues to be. In fact, legislatively, well, I won't digress legislatively, but in some of the proposals that come up for various changes in education in our state, they seem to often miss the obvious. And the things that would really help, not just faculty members, but other people who don't make as much as faculty. As little as faculty might make at certain levels, there are state employees that make a lot less. So there are uses of public funds that could greatly enhance, particularly child care, those people in those positions. But it is very difficult. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of in the same situation as Celia, and it's not, here at Hilo there is childcare at HCC, which is on a different campus, which is incredibly limited in terms of how many students they enroll, and I understand that they have an education program. It doesn't really help us at UH Hilo, and part of it, childcare is a big problem, not only for faculty and staff, but for students. So in terms of me as an assistant professor, it creates a working condition for me when I have students in my class who need to bring their children so that they can get an education, and then other students in the class that don't want those children there, right? I would like to have those children there. I don't want to create a compromising environment, and I think UHPA could maybe pay more attention to that, particularly as it works here at UH Hilo, which is the biggest city on this island, that it doesn't have multiple campuses that we can send our kids to. And so that maybe I would really advocate for that. That seems to be not just a faculty concern, but a student, a university, a community concern. We, you know, I mean, if we're going to reach out to the community, then we need to reach out to this particular community of Hilo, which values children. So if we don't address that, then how much are we actually serving the community, which should be a concern of the book as well.
And we've had coalitions with student governments, and student leaders from time to time have supported it, and then new ones have come in. because they really don't stay, despite the fact it takes a long time to get a degree. They aren't necessarily around for a long time, and that's part of the problem. We can get the attention, and then the attention is lost. But again, this is not something that will be negotiated into our contract to the exclusion of the students or the other workers at the university, or quite frankly, the public workers in the city of Hilo. And we want to work with those coalitions, but it takes more than just us. We have got, this would have, one of the ways it could help, when UH Hilo, they make a proposal to the Board of Regents for funding in the biennium budgets, right? I do not remember ever, Carla, help me, ever seeing a child care center proposed in the budget from this campus to the regents to the state legislature. And that's where, if that starts to happen, that's where we effectively then, as a union, can go in and lobby for that, and it's not perceived as just a self-interest to offset the costs to the individual faculty member borne by other people. To get that done, again, a coalition of the students, and we are willing partners in that. We'll be there and help, but the ball will not be carried solely by UHPA. It's not going to happen. And we have, over the 35 years I've been here, all right, we have that, the issue of child care has been persistent and constant. And as I said, it's interesting that it rides in waves and gets some attention but then falls off. And it falls off, why? For a lack of state commitment to that. Where you're seeing the state right now, at least some people, trying to commit themselves to preschool education, a substantial funding amount. Actually, the preschool education and what is encompassed in that pales in comparison to the child care needs of this community in order to allow their parents to work, particularly for the less economically stable. So again, don't presume, I agree with you, but don't presume that this means we don't pay attention to it organizationally or haven't. It's very true that we do. To my knowledge, UHPA was never invited to a table of people who were dealing with this issue in UH Hilo. All right? I mean, if there is meetings, if there are meetings, if there are groups, if there is organizing, you know, we have never been asked to participate, to come in. We would have. We will.
And that's, I think, what, you know, how do we strengthen communications with the campuses? And as part of what this is about, and I hope that this series continues into the future, that we continue to come back to Hilo so that we have some kind of understanding of what your issues are and how we can work together to promote them. But another level, I think, that's got to happen, you know, we do not look good down at our state legislature right now and haven't for a while. I don't think that's any fault of our faculty or our students. I think that the class of administrators that we've brought in over the past 2 president cycles have been disastrous for us. And so there are any number of legislators who do not look favorably upon the University of Hawaii as an entity, and don't, and who see the face of the University of Hawaii as the administration at Manoa, or housed in Manoa if it's the system administration. And I think that, you know, it's taken me a long time, because I'm not a political animal by nature, a long time to appreciate the need that we have to get more politically involved and sort of get to know our local legislators and let them know what role we play in our communities as faculty. and bring them into these discussions as well, because if we don't get support down at the legislature for funding these things, it's not going to happen. More and more of the funding of our institution is being thrown back on student tuition dollars. And as long as that's the case and we have to carve out what priorities to meet, we're going to have a hard time arguing for family leave and housing and child care as having priority. So I think the kind of coalitions that Jan is referring to, we've got to get real serious about how we can actively do that in our communities.